What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, man. You guys already know what the deal is. I'm redoing all those double I swipes that I did earlier this year, at least for phones that had major updates and upgrades and all that stuff. With the iPhone 6s Plus, we did see quite a bit of an update with iOS 13, so we're going to go ahead not only talk about iOS 13 and not only the way this phone feels up until now. It pretty much feels exactly how I felt earlier on this year, but also kind of the future, what we know now about iPhones and iOS in general, and kind of going on from there. I mean, we saw a lot of speculation of the SE not being supported, and some people were saying that even the 6s and 6s Plus might have not been supported, but luckily this phone did end up getting it, which is an amazing thing. Now, if you want to see a more in-depth review about the iPhone 6s Plus in 2019, you can go watch the double I swipe I did earlier. I will try to link that down in the description, but just in case I forget, you can type in iPhone 6s Plus in 2019, and I'm pretty sure my video is one of the first ones, so you can go watch that. But this phone did come out in 2015, and in the body department, it's not that bad. I mean, I still think it's a pretty decent feeling device. I said the same thing about the 6s, and you have to remember that this phone is 4 years old, and it's not going to feel like the best phone in the world anymore. There's definitely some parts of it that are definitely do feel a little bit dated. It has a 5.5-inch 1080p IPS panel. It's not OLED like the newer iPhones, but I still think it's a pretty decent display. You have Touch ID 2 on the front. You have quite a bit of bezel on the front as well, but again, it's not that big of a deal. We're kind of accustomed to it by now, and you know, if you want a newer bezel-less phone, you can go for an iPhone 10 or 10s or whatever, but with this specific phone, we had a lot of bezel, and that's pretty much where we're going to leave that at. You also have a front camera, which actually isn't that bad in 2019. You have a back camera, single back-facing camera, which is 12 megapixels. And like I said before, that camera is not bad at all either. You can still shoot 4K videos on it. I think it's a very, very good camera for the price and for the year that it was released. The fact that even the newest iPhones still have 12 megapixel sensors. Now, the newest iPhones like the 10s, the 10s Max, the 10R have much better sensors than this phone, but that's not to say that the 6s Plus is a horrible camera either, you know, just based off the age, you know. And if I showed you a photo of this outside, you probably wouldn't even know it was like a 5-year-old or 4-year-old phone, man, to be honest. And like I said earlier, the main thing I really wanted to hit on was the software. So this thing just got iOS 13, and you know, it definitely has problems. And before I go further, I want to say we're rocking the betas right now of iOS 13. I just want to showcase some of the features and some of the things like that and show you the performance pretty much of the iPhone 6s Plus on iOS 13, which I didn't really get to do on my updated review or my review I did last week or 2 weeks ago. The one thing you have to keep in mind, like I said, this is a beta. It's not the official version. All of the bugs and problems that I'm having now are not going to probably be there by the time the official version happens. So once the official version comes out in September, I'm going to go ahead and make a late 2019 review and showcase how this thing is holding up then. So again, this is kind of more so just a glance at it in the middle of 2019. And I'll definitely tell you, you know, in terms of the specs inside, it has the A9 chip, it has 2 gigs of RAM, a dual-core CPU. What I'll definitely tell you, man, it handles iOS 13 pretty good for the year that this thing was released. I mean, if this is how this phone is running iOS 13 right now, I'm curious as to how this thing will run iOS 13, the official build, in September, because I can definitely tell you this thing is a very solid performer on iOS 13. I did run into some problems here and there, but most of them are just slight bugs that are going to be fixed in the future. But setting aside the bugs and issues, you know, I'll definitely tell you I was super surprised when this thing pretty much got all of the features of iOS 13. It got dark mode, the new volume HUD, tons of other cool things like that, which I didn't necessarily think Apple was going to port over to the oldest iPhones running iOS 13. I thought they were going to pull like the 6 and 6 Plus and 5S thing, where only the newest iPhones were to get the newest, coolest features, and the oldest ones were just kind of going to get like a light version of iOS 12. This thing ended up getting the full version, which is awesome. So in terms of iOS 13 in the future, just within a couple months, it's going to be a solid update in my opinion. But kind of going one step further and talking about the longevity of the iPhone 6s Plus, in my opinion, the 6s Plus might get iOS 14. You know, it could very well get it. We kind of saw in the past that a lot of the S version updates of the phones got an extra version of iOS, the 4S, the 5S. So it could be a possibility that the 6s and the 6s Plus could get an extra version of iOS. I don't see really why it wouldn't. So that is one really important thing to note right there. But as far as we know, it's still getting another year of support with iOS 13, which is sick. The battery life, in my opinion, is kind of rocky on iOS 13 right now. But, you know, like I said before, you shouldn't be on iOS 13 on the betas. You should wait until the official version comes out. You should stay on iOS 12. And what I can tell you about iOS 12 right now, it runs pretty much well on the 6s Plus. Really no problems at all. If you're watching this right now, I would say, you know, stay on iOS 12. But if you're watching this later and iOS 13 is out, go ahead and update to it. I'm pretty sure you'll be fine by then. But ultimately, I think the iPhone 6s Plus, like I've stated about the other iPhones, is much more worth it now than earlier on this year. Literally, it's still getting iOS updates, at least for another year, maybe more on top of that. I still think it's still worth it in mid-2019, and I guess we'll just see how it runs when the official version of iOS 13 comes out. But if you want to pick up an iPhone 6s Plus, I'll leave a link in the description. It'll be the first link down there. I'll find the cheapest one on Amazon. I'll link it straight there, so you can go ahead and purchase it. That'll mean so much. A little bit of that revenue comes back to the channel. We can do more videos like this, more giveaways, and more comparisons, all that good stuff. So it'll mean so much if you guys could do that. But man, that is pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, leave that down in the comment section as well. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it'll mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those links are linked down below. I would really appreciate if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.